Sportster is the longest running model range in the 119-year history of Harley-Davidson. And this right here is its newest member, the Nightster.
If you haven't guessed already, the party trick on the Nightster is undoubtedly the Revolution Max T engine. 975cc, liquid cooled, 60-degree V, which is based on the Revolution Max 1250, which we loved on the Pan America. This one also gets variable valve timing, albeit just on the intake, so you get the best of both worlds. You have 95 Newton meters strong mid-range that thrusts you forward like that at the horizon every time you twist the throttle, and 89 horses up top which keep egging you to keep the throttle pinned as long as you dare. Now I've been riding this for a while now, and it still cracks me up every time I crack the whip and watch this thing go. And man, I love how angry this sounds up top. Just keeps you coming back for more.
And a lot of this performance is down to the massive weight saving that Harley has managed by using the engine, the powertrain, as a stress member. So the engine in a way is the chassis with the front trellis frame and the subframe attached to it. If you compare it with, say, the Iron 883, the Nightster is actually a solid 35 kgs lighter, weighing in at 221 kgs wet. Now, I know that still sounds like a lot, but trust me, once you swing your leg over, you don't feel the weight. And that's down to the many clever things that Harley has done with the Nightster. So if you look here, this is actually not the tank. This is the 6.5 litre airbox. The tank is here underneath the seat. How cool is that? And the battery is again right below the radiator. And this mass centralization, of course, has a direct impact on the way the Nightster handles. Despite having a 19-inch front, a 16-inch rear, and a wheelbase which is 1545 mm long, the Nightster still sweeps through corners unlike any Sportster that I've ridden before. The low center of mass and foot pegs, which allow you 32 degrees of lean on both sides, means that the Nightster is a proper hoot to ride in the mountain pass. It's surprisingly agile for a motorcycle of this size, this dimension and weight, and actually also stops better than most Harleys that I've ridden, despite having a single 320 mm disc. And here's the crazy part, I feel it can brake better still with stickier tires, because when you're out in the corners, hamming the throttle, especially in the sport mode, the rear just wants to come around all the time if it weren't for the traction control. Similarly, during corner entry, the front, the tire doesn't inspire the same amount of confidence as the chassis does. And also worth noting is the fact that the traction control and the ABS system on this is not lean sensitive, as the Nightster doesn't get an IMU. Now you can of course argue that the Nightster wasn't really built to be pushed around the corners, which I agree with, but that's the only place where I could make sense of these ergonomics. I love the mid-mounted pegs, but the handlebar is just too far forward for comfort when you're not in the mood for mayhem. Also, the fueling can definitely be better because the throttle is really sensitive, especially at the first touch, more so when you're riding in the sport mode. But to be fair, other than these things, the Nightster also has the makings of a really solid lowrider. Starting with the engine, the strong low-end torque means the Nightster is insanely tractable. You can ride this thing in the city everywhere in the third gear without even needing to downshift. It's also really smooth, really refined. There are barely any vibrations. The next thing which stood out was of course the Showa suspension. After we had dialed in the preload, it hit that sweet spot between sporty and plush. Then you have the low seat height. At 705 mm, it's very, very approachable, and also the low center of mass means that the Nightster is very easy to move around in the parking lot. Then you have the clutch, which is by far the lightest I've seen on a Harley motorcycle. It's also adjustable for reach, just like the front brake lever, which is great. Same goes for the gearbox. It's a far cry from the clunky gearboxes that we are used to on Harleys. It's very smooth, very nice to operate, very, very precise. And then of course you have the keyless ignition as well as self-cancelling indicators, which are always a welcome addition. Now, as good as this all sounds, there are a few chinks in its armor. Starting with the ground clearance. There are only 110 mm of ground clearance that you have at your disposal, which means you essentially have to slow down to a stop almost at every speed breaker, at every bad piece of road which you'll find, which can get quite annoying. Next is the tank capacity. It's only 11.7 liters, so you're looking at a range of about 140 odd kilometers. So even if you go for a more upright, comfortable handlebar, right, Spike isn't really meant for long distance touring. It's also not the best bet to commute on to your office because it really hates traffic and it heats up a ton. Then the switches are quirky as ever. You don't find them where you expect them to, especially the horn, which is almost impossible to find unless you look down. But here's the thing, while most of these things are stuff that I can easily get used to and live with, what I'm genuinely surprised about is the wires. I don't remember seeing a Harley which had these many exposed wires. I mean, I get it, like this has a lot more tech, this has liquid cooling, but the one thing which Harley has done better than anyone else is hiding these wires. And that's the first thing you notice when you look at the Nightster up close. You are a little less forgiving of that fact because, especially when you consider its 15 lakh rupee price tag. Now yes, in terms of performance, when you compare it to the old Sportsters, it's head and shoulders better, right? But when you compare it to its rivals, let's say the Triumph Speed Twin, which is more powerful, yeah, has better performance, is lighter, and is still 4 lakh rupee cheaper, then you cannot help but expect better finish from the Nightster. But I have to say this, I'm absolutely loving this journey that Harley is on to see the evolution. I love what they did with the Pan America, their very first adventure bike, and how good it turned out for their very first attempt. And I'm genuinely impressed with what they've done here with the Nightster, because it finally packs the performance, which can take the Sportster legacy forward while still staying true and harnessing the design language, the foundation which was laid almost 65 years ago.